The night market was loud, bright, and full of cruel voices. Alien buyers walked in long rows, laughing, pointing, and whispering. In the center stage stood a young alien girl with her hands chained in front of her. Her thin body shook. Her skin was pale, and her eyes were a strange mixed color that other aliens hated. They called her useless. They called her cursed. They called her bastard. She looked down, her hair covering her face. Trying not to cry, the auction master hit the metal floor with his staff and shouted to the crowd. He told them the girl had no parents who claimed her. He told them she was weak and born without noble blood. He told them she was only good for cleaning, silence, and obedience. The crowd laughed loudly, as if her suffering was a show. No one raised a hand to buy her. Even the cheapest slaves were taken before her. The girl felt her heart sinking. She thought she would be thrown away like trash. She thought this night would be her last. Her legs were shaking, and it looked like she might fall at any moment. She tried to breathe, but the chain was heavy, and the air felt cold inside her chest. Then, suddenly, the crowd became quiet. A human walked into the auction hall. Humans were rare here. Many aliens moved aside, staring at him. He was tall, with tired eyes and a simple coat. His hair showed a little gray, like someone who had lived through storms and loss. He walked slowly, calmly, without fear. He did not look left or right. He only looked at the chained girl. The alien crowd whispered. Some mocked him. Some feared him. Some could not understand why a human would come to a place like this. The auction master laughed nervously and announced that even humans could take slaves if they paid. But his voice shook, because humans were known for something the galaxy never admitted. They were unpredictable. The girl looked up, her breath caught in her throat. She had never seen a human before. His eyes did not look cruel. His face did not look amused. He simply watched her, as if he was searching for something inside her eyes. The auction master tried to start bidding, but no one answered. Everyone waited to see if the human would act. Then, quietly, the human raised his hand. The crowd gasped. Some laughed harder. Some whispered that he must be desperate. Some said he must be broken. Why would a human buy a bastard alien girl no one wanted? The auction master slammed the bell and declared the girl sold. The chains were unlocked, but her wrists were bruised and red. She tried to step forward, but her knees almost gave up. She expected the human to pull her, to drag her, to command her like others did. Instead, he took off his coat and gently placed it around her shoulders. The girl froze. No one in her life had ever covered her with warmth. No one had ever protected her skin from cold air. No one had ever treated her like she mattered. The human spoke softly, his voice low and tired. Let's go home. The entire auction hall fell silent. The crowd did not understand. The girl did not understand. Home? What was home? She had never had one. She had only known cages, orders, punishment, and fear. The human walked, and she followed because she had no strength to stand alone. But something strange grew inside her, a feeling like safety mixed with danger. Why was he kind? What did he want? Why her? Why now? Outside, the night air was cool, and the stars were wide above them. The girl felt the coat around her, still warm from his body. She wondered if she should run. She wondered if she should speak. But she stayed silent. The human opened the vehicle door gently, like he was used to helping someone fragile. For a moment, she saw sadness in his eyes, deep and heavy. It was the kind of sadness that came from losing something important. The girl sat, still shaking. The human closed the door without force. Then he walked around and sat in the driver's seat. The engine started, and the road stretched into darkness. The girl whispered in a small voice, "Why?" "Me?" The human did not look at her. He only stared forward and said, "You looked cold." There was no anger, no demand, no threat, But the silence that followed was filled with mystery, because somewhere in that silence was a secret that would change both their lives. The vehicle moved through dark roads, leaving the noisy market far behind. The girl sat quietly, holding the human's coat around her. She watched him from the corner of her eye. His hands on the steering wheel were steady but tense. His jaw was tight, like he was holding words inside. He did not look at her, not even once, and that made her more nervous. Silence felt heavier than chains. The girl did not know what waited for her. A new cage? A new master? A new kind of pain? But something felt different. The human did not smell like anger. His breathing was slow, like someone tired from life, not excited by control. After a long drive, they reached a small house at the edge of a quiet town. It was simple, old, and surrounded by tall trees. A soft porch light glowed near the door, like it had been left on for someone who never came home. The girl stepped out slowly, her feet weak. The human unlocked the door and motioned for her to enter. Inside, the house was calm, warm, and full of silence. There were 2 bedrooms, a small kitchen, and a living room with a soft chair that looked like someone used to sit there every night. The girl noticed something unusual. One of the rooms had walls painted in gentle colors, with tiny stars drawn near the ceiling. There were toys on a small shelf. A blanket folded neatly on a child-sized bed. The girl stared. Her heart beat faster. Why would he have a child's room? The human saw her eyes and quickly closed the door to that room. His face changed for a moment, like a wound opened inside him. He spoke in a low voice. "That room stays closed." The girl nodded quickly, even though she did not understand. Something inside the house held memories. And those memories were heavy. He brought her a bowl of warm food, simple soup with bread. She stared at it, confused. She had been punished for eating too slow before. She had been shouted at for spilling. She had been hit for asking questions. So she waited, afraid. "You can eat," he said quietly. She lifted the spoon with shaking fingers. The soup was warm, soft, and gentle on her empty stomach. But she ate carefully, ready for a sudden slap or harsh command. None came. The human sat across the room, not watching her, not rushing her, only breathing in a tired rhythm. When she finished, she whispered, "Thank you," thinking maybe it was required. The human did not answer. He simply stood and pointed toward the small guest room. The bed was clean. The blankets smelled like sunlight. She walked inside, still unsure if this was a trick. Then she heard it. Click. The door locked. From the outside. Her heart jumped. She hurried to the door and pressed her ear against it. The human's footsteps stopped right outside. She waited for shouting, for orders, for threats, but instead, she heard him crying. Soft, broken, muffled crying, the kind of sound someone makes when they try hard not to be heard. The girl stepped back, confused. Why would a human cry outside her door? Was it because of her? Was she a reminder of someone? Was she a mistake he already regretted buying? She sat on the bed, hugging her knees. Her wrists still hurt from chains, but this new feeling hurt differently. She was afraid, but also curious. What kind of man locks someone in? But then cries outside the door. Hours passed. The house stayed quiet. The girl tried to sleep, but her mind stayed awake. The moonlight came through the window, and she noticed scratches near the floor, like someone small once dragged toys there. She wondered if a child lived here once. She wondered where that child was now. Then she heard something, not the human, not footsteps, a sound coming from below the house, from the basement, a faint thump. Like something moving. The girl froze. Her alien senses were sharper than a human's. She could feel vibrations. Something was down there. Something alive. Something that made the air feel colder. She whispered into the darkness, "What is in this house?" Outside her locked door, There was no answer, but the night itself seemed to hold its breath. Morning light entered the small room through thin curtains. The alien girl opened her eyes slowly, unsure if she had truly slept or only drifted in fear. For a moment, she forgot where she was. Then she saw the clean blanket, the wooden floor, the door that had been locked all night. Her heart tightened again. She listened. No footsteps. No crying. No voices. Only silence. Carefully, she touched the doorknob. It turned. The door was unlocked now. She pushed it open slowly and looked into the hallway. The human was not there. His coat was hanging on a hook. His boots were placed neatly by the wall. The house felt like someone had already lived a full life in it, and then lost something important. She stepped out quietly, her bare feet barely touching the floor. Her eyes moved across the living room. Sunlight rested on dusty picture frames on a small table. Something inside her told her not to look. But curiosity was stronger than fear. She walked closer. There were 3 photographs. The first showed the human, younger, smiling. The second showed a small human girl laughing while holding a stuffed toy. The third stopped her breath. In the third picture, the human stood with his arm around a woman. Not human, but alien. Her eyes, her cheeks, her skin tone, her hair shape, they looked almost exactly like the chained girl who now stood in his house. Her hands began to shake. The room felt smaller. Her breathing turned shallow. Was she bought because she looked like the woman in the photo? Was she meant to replace someone? Was she a shadow of someone lost? Her fingers touched the glass frame gently. She felt a strange warmth inside her chest. Not sadness, not fear, but a strange pull she did not understand. She leaned closer, studying the alien woman's eyes in the photograph. That was when she heard a floorboard creak behind her. The human stood in the hallway, watching her. His face did not show anger, but something worse, shock mixed with pain. His eyes were wide, and his hands were trembling slightly. He swallowed hard, like someone who had been stabbed by a memory. The girl quickly put the photo back, lowering her head. "Sorry," she whispered. The human did not speak. For a long moment, they both stood still, like 2 ghosts in the same house. Finally, he walked forward, picked up the photograph gently, and held it in his hands. His voice came out quiet, cracked, and full of weight. Her name was Lyra. The alien girl kept her eyes down, afraid to ask anything. But the human continued. She left. She didn't say goodbye. She didn't look back. His voice shook. "She left our daughter with me. And then, our daughter." He stopped. The sentence broke in half, bleeding silence across the room. The girl dared to look up. She saw pain that was deeper than wounds. The human placed the photograph face down on the table and took a slow breath. "You shouldn't wander the house alone," he said quietly. The girl nodded, but her thoughts were racing. If his daughter was gone, if the alien woman had left, then what was she? A replacement? A reminder? A mistake? Her heart beat faster. She stepped back, unsure if she should run or stand still. The human noticed her fear and closed his eyes for a moment, like he understood but did not know how to fix it. "You are not a prisoner here," he said softly. "But there are things in this house you are not ready to see." His words were gentle, but they carried something hidden. Something dark. Her voice trembled when she finally spoke. "Last night, I heard something. From below. From the basement." The human's expression changed instantly. Not anger. Not confusion. Fear. Real fear. He shook his head sharply. "You must stay away from that door. Do you understand?" The girl nodded, but her alien instincts whispered a different truth. Whatever was below, it was connected to her past, to her blood. The air around the basement felt familiar, like a forgotten memory calling her name. The human stepped back, running a hand across his tired face. today. We stay inside. And we don't talk about the past. But the past was already awake, and the girl felt something inside her, like a key turning in a lock she did not know existed. The basement was waiting. The truth was waiting. And her fear was only the beginning. The day passed slowly inside the quiet house. The alien girl stayed near the kitchen table, unsure where she was allowed to stand or sit. The human moved around the house without speaking much. He cleaned dishes, folded a blanket, and stood for a long time staring out the window, as if waiting for someone who would never return. The girl kept thinking about the photograph. The alien woman who looked like her. The human's daughter who was gone. The locked room. The basement that called to her in the night. Every detail felt like a puzzle piece she was not supposed to touch. When evening arrived, the human made dinner. He placed a plate in front of her without looking at her directly. She ate slowly, watching him. His hands shook when he lifted his own fork, and sometimes he paused like his mind traveled somewhere painful. After dinner, the girl gathered courage. "Did I remind you of her?" she asked softly. The human froze. His fork stopped halfway to his mouth. His eyes stared into emptiness. "Not at first," he said. "But now?" "Yes." The girl looked down, afraid she had caused harm without meaning to. The human stood up and walked to the living room. After a moment, he spoke again. "You should know the truth. At least part of it." She followed him carefully, her steps small, her heart unsure. He sat in the soft chair, the same chair that looked like someone used to sit there every night. He looked older in that moment, like time itself pressed against him. "My wife was not like you," he began. "She was strong, proud, respected. She came from a high bloodline. Her people hated humans. But she fell in love anyway. Or I thought she did." His voice cracked, but he continued. "We had a daughter. She was gentle. She laughed easily. She loved stars and small animals. She was light." The girl listened, her chest tightening. "One day my wife left," he said. "She said she could not live with a weak species. She said our daughter was a shame to her blood. She walked away and never turned around." The girl felt cold inside. She knew the word bastard. She knew what it meant to be unwanted. The human's eyes filled with wetness, but he wiped it away quickly. "My daughter became sick," he said softly. "Her body was half human, half alien. Her immune system could not fight a simple infection. I tried. I begged for help. But your people closed their doors." His hands clenched into fists. "She died in this house. In that room with the stars on the ceiling." The girl covered her mouth, her eyes burning. She had never been held, never been loved, but she could feel his pain as if it lived inside her bones. "Why did you buy me?" she whispered. The human looked at her for the first time that night. "Because I could not stand the silence anymore," he said. "Because I thought having someone here might make the house breathe again." The girl felt her throat tighten. She knew what loneliness felt like. She had lived inside it since birth, but before she could answer, the lights flickered. A low sound came from below the floor. Not loud. Not imagined. Real. The girl stiffened. The human stood quickly, his face turning pale. "You heard it too," she whispered. The human shook his head sharply. "It's just pipes," he said. But his voice was not convincing. The sound came again, a soft, slow thump. Then a second. Like something moving. Something alive. The girl felt a strange pull in her chest. Her alien senses awakened, sharp and alert. Her skin tingled. "It knows I'm here," she said without meaning to. The human grabbed her arm, not hard, but desperate. "You must never go near the basement," he said. His voice was low, urgent. "There are things you don't understand. Things that should stay buried." She met his eyes. "Is it your daughter?" she whispered. His breath shook. "No," he said. "But it is something connected to her. Something left behind. Something I regret every day. The girl stepped back, fear mixing with curiosity. What is it? She asked. The human shook his head again. Not tonight. Not now. But the house felt different now, like the walls were listening. Like the air was waiting. Like the darkness under the floor was waking up. The girl returned to her room. But the door did not lock this time. The human sat in the hallway, his back against the wall, watching the staircase that led down. The girl lay awake, listening to the quiet house. Then very faintly, a whisper rose from the basement. It spoke a name, her name. The house felt heavier the next morning, like the walls were holding a secret that wanted to escape. The alien girl woke with her heart already beating fast. She did not know if she dreamed the whisper or truly heard it. But the sound of her own name coming from the darkness below still echoed inside her mind. She opened her door slowly and looked into the hallway. The human was sitting in the same spot as last night, his back against the wall, his eyes open but tired. He had not slept. He looked at her, and she felt a strange mix of worry and warning. Did you sleep? He asked. She shook her head. Did you hear it again? He asked softly. She hesitated, then nodded. His jaw tightened. He stood up slowly and walked to the kitchen. He made tea for himself and placed a cup of warm water in front of her. He did not speak for a long time. She felt like every word he did not say was a stone sitting between them. Finally, she asked the question she had been afraid of. What is in the basement? The human's hands tightened around his cup. It doesn't matter, he said. You stay away from that door. Promise me. She wanted to agree. She wanted to stay safe. But her alien instincts were strong, like a thread pulling her toward something she was meant to see. My people have senses, she said carefully. We feel things humans don't. The thing below. It feels familiar. Like it knows me. The human closed his eyes, and his voice became sharper. That's exactly why you stay away. His tone was not cruel, but desperate. The kind of desperation someone has when trying to stop a tragedy from repeating. The day passed slowly. The girl stayed in the living room, but her eyes kept drifting toward the hallway, toward the stairs that led down. Sometimes the lights flickered. Sometimes she felt vibration under the floor. Sometimes she felt watched, even when alone. In the afternoon, the human left the house to buy supplies. Before leaving, he looked at her and said, Do not go near the basement. I will be back soon. She nodded, but the moment the door closed, the silence returned, deeper than before. The house changed when he was gone. The air grew colder. The shadows stretched longer. The girl stood still listening. A soft sound rose from below, like breathing, slow, deep, alive. She walked toward the hallway, each step small and unsure. She reached the stairway and stared down into the darkness. Something inside her chest fluttered, not fear, but recognition. Then she heard it. A whisper. Not loud. Not human. Not random. Come closer. Her skin prickled. Her fingers trembled. Her breath caught. She wanted to run, but her feet moved forward. She stepped onto the first stair. Then the second. The wood creaked softly under her weight. The darkness at the bottom seemed to move like fog. She could not see the door, but she felt it. Old wood, metal lock, sealed tight for a long time. Who are you? She whispered. The whisper came again, stronger this time. Blood of mine. Her heart slammed inside her chest. She grabbed the wall to steady herself. Her eyes widened as a memory she never knew she had flashed inside her mind. A throne room. A cold queen. A child being taken away. A voice saying she should never exist. Her knees weakened. Suddenly, a hand grabbed her shoulder. The human. He pulled her back sharply, his face full of terror. What did you hear? He demanded. She shook, unable to speak. What did it say? He pressed, voice shaking. She looked into his eyes and whispered, "It knows me." The human's face drained of color. He pulled her away from the stairs and closed the hallway door, locking it. His hands shook as he turned the key. "You are never going near it again," he said. "Do you understand?" Tears filled her eyes from confusion, fear, and something else she did not have a word for. The human sat down, breathing hard, like he had run miles. "That thing in the basement," he said slowly, "was brought here by your mother. It changed after she left. It became something else. Something dangerous. Something tied to your bloodline." The girl stared at him, shaking. "Why didn't you destroy it?" She whispered. His voice broke. "Because I thought it might bring my daughter back." Silence filled the house again, but below the floor. Something moved. Something awakened. Something that would not stay locked forever. The house felt too small now, as if the truth pressed against every wall. The alien girl sat at the kitchen table while the human paced back and forth, running a shaking hand through his hair. The whisper from the basement still echoed in her bones. She could feel something alive down there. Something connected to her in a way she could not explain. The human finally stopped pacing and looked at her with tired eyes. "There is something you must know," he said. She swallowed hard, unsure if she wanted to hear it. But silence was worse. He opened a drawer and pulled out a small device, metallic, smooth, and shaped like a wristband. "Your mother left this behind," he said. "I never understood what it was, but it reacted when you arrived." He placed it on the table. The girl stared at it. Her fingers tingled. Slowly, she reached out and touched it. The device lit up with a soft blue glow. The human stepped back, startled. The band unfolded and wrapped itself gently around her wrist. She gasped, but it did not hurt. Instead, she felt warmth spreading under her skin. Like something waking inside her blood, symbols appeared on the device, glowing alien letters she did not know, yet somehow understood. "It is reading your DNA," she whispered. The human stared at her. "You can read it?" he asked. She nodded slowly, shocked by her own certainty. The device projected a hologram above her hand, a symbol of a royal crest, sharp and bright, surrounded by ancient markings. The girl's eyes widened. "This is the mark of the high bloodline," she said quietly. "Only rulers carry it." The human looked confused. "But you were called bastard," he said. "Unwanted, worthless." The girl shook her head slowly, realization spreading through her like fire. "They lied," she whispered. "They hid me. They erased me. I was not born in shame. I was born in danger." The device showed another line of text, a declaration stamped by the Galactic Council, order of erasure. The human's breath caught. "They wanted you gone," he said. "Why?" The girl's voice trembled. "Because I am heir. Because my mother was queen." The truth hit the room like thunder. She was not nobody. She was not weak. She was not abandoned because she lacked value. She was abandoned because she held too much power. Then, the house shook. A deep vibration rolled through the floor. The basement door rattled behind the hallway. The girl felt the presence below, stronger now, hungry. Awakening. The human grabbed her arm. "We are leaving," he said. "Now." But before they could move, a loud sound echoed outside. Engines, heavy footsteps, metal doors slamming. The human ran to the window and looked out. Alien soldiers. Black armored vehicles. Banners of the royal crest she had just seen. "They found you," the human whispered. The girl stepped back, her heart pounding. Soldiers spread across the yard, surrounding the house. A loudspeaker activated. "By order of the Galactic Crown, surrender the girl. She carries Forbidden's blood." Forbidden's. Not royal. The words were twisted on purpose, to hide her existence, to erase her birthright. The human clenched his fists. "They won't take you," he said. I won't let them. The girl stared at him, stunned. You would fight for me? She asked. He nodded. You were the first living soul in this house after my daughter died, he said softly. I will not lose another child. A sharp silence filled the air. Child. He had called her child. The soldiers banged on the door. Deliver her now, human, or face execution. The human stepped in front of her, placing himself between her and the entrance. His voice was steady. If you want her, he said, you go through me. The girl felt something rise inside her, not fear, but strength. Her blood tingled. The device on her wrist glowed brighter. A pulse rippled outward, silent but powerful. The windows shook. The soldiers outside staggered, holding their heads as if struck by invisible force. The girl looked at her hands. Shocked, I didn't mean to. The human stared at her with wide eyes. You have power, he whispered. Real power. Outside, the soldiers recovered. Weapons lifted. Orders shouted. Engines roared. The girl stepped forward, standing beside the human instead of behind him. They erased me once, she said quietly. I won't let them do it again. The human looked at her, not as a burden, not as a shadow, but as someone who mattered. The front door shook under the force of the soldiers preparing to break it down. The girl took a breath. The human held his ground, and the galaxy was about to witness something it had never seen before. The door shook again as the soldiers prepared to break it down. The alien girl and the human stood side by side, facing the entrance. The house lights flickered, the air thick with tension. Outside, armored troops raised weapons, ready to storm the home. The girl breathed slowly, the device on her wrist glowing brighter, pulsing like a heartbeat. The human lowered his stance, placing himself just slightly ahead of her, ready to shield her with his body if needed. It was a small movement, but it meant everything. The soldiers burst through the door. Energy rifles pointed. Helmets shining. Boots shaking the floor. Stand down. Their commander shouted. The girl belongs to the crown. The human did not move. She belongs to no one, he said. She is a child. The soldiers laughed harshly. She is a threat, the commander replied. A mistake. A hidden heir with forbidden's blood. The girl stepped forward, her voice steady. If I am a threat, she said, why do you fear me? The commander hesitated, just 1 second, but she saw it. Fear, not of her weakness, but of her right to exist. The device projected symbols into the air, the royal crest, the mark of true lineage, the decree of erasure. The soldiers stared, stunned. They had never seen it with their own eyes. This cannot be. The commander shouted. The queen declared the heir dead. The girl lifted her chin. She lied. Silence fell like a stone. Then another voice echoed from outside, transmitted through loudspeakers. Cold and sharp. Bring her out, now. The girl felt the blood in her veins turn to ice. She knew that voice. Her mother. The soldiers stepped aside, forming a path. A tall figure entered the broken doorway, wearing royal armor, face hidden behind a silver veil. The air around her felt heavy, commanding, merciless. The human stepped forward, blocking the queen's path. You abandoned your child, he said. You left her to die. You will not take this one. The queen lifted her hand, and the human was thrown backward by an invisible force, crashing against the wall. The girl screamed and rushed to him, helping him sit up. He tried to stand again, even though his ribs hurt and his breathing shook. The queen spoke. It is not your place to guard what belongs to the throne. The girl stood up slowly, her body shaking, not from fear, but from a new strength rising inside her. I am not yours, she said. You sold me. You called me shame. You erased my name. The queen's veil flickered, revealing cold eyes. You were born too human. she said. Too soft. Too weak. You would have ruined the bloodline. The girl stepped closer, her voice growing stronger. Then why does the basement call my name? The queen froze. The soldiers exchanged uneasy glances. The human looked up sharply. The queen's voice trembled for the first time. You opened it? The girl shook her head, but the queen understood anyway. You share the bond, the queen whispered. The creature below. It responds to your blood. The human stared in shock. You knew what it was, he said. You left it here. The queen looked away. It was supposed to die when your daughter died, she said. But it survived. It merged. It changed. The girl felt her heart pounding. It is not a monster, she said softly. It is a part of us. Suddenly, the floor rumbled. A soft glow rose from below. The basement door creaked open on its own. Everyone turned toward the hallway. A small figure stepped out, not a beast, not a creature, but a child, a young girl with mixed features. Human eyes, alien markings. Glowing softly like a star, the human fell to his knees, tears flooding his face. My daughter, he whispered. The queen stepped back in horror. This is impossible. The girl approached the glowing child, who smiled gently and reached out to hold her hand. When their fingers touched, warmth filled the room, spreading outward like dawn breaking through night. The queen trembled. What are you? She whispered. The alien girl answered calmly. We are what you feared. A future where human and alien are one. The soldiers lowered their weapons. The queen fell silent. Then, the alien girl turned, walked back to the human, and knelt before him, not as a slave, not as a servant, but as a daughter. Her voice was steady, clear, and heard by every soldier, every camera drone, every listening world. You are my family, she said, and I choose you. The galaxy watched a human widower, simple, mourning, ordinary, become the one being a royal heir. Did not know species had ever seen anything like it. The queen lowered her head, defeated not by force, but by truth. And across the stars, the world changed.